Well, there's nothing to celebrate on this Freedom Day. That's according to the Public Service and Commercial Union. It says government has failed the working class as the unemployment rate is at a record high. The union is calling for vacant funded posts to be filled exclusively by the youth. Let's unpack this now with the union's General Secretary, Tahir Maepa. Tahir, good afternoon. Thank you very much for your time on this Freedom Day. Your statement is really hard-hitting in terms of whether or not there's anything to celebrate on this Freedom Day. I mean, even if you look very hard, Tahir, you can't find anything?
Look, brother, the issue here is that you cannot have a situation where we say 28 years later we should be in a celebratory mood when 36% of our women are unemployed, 47% of the youth are unemployed, 55% of our people are living below poverty lines, whereas this country has lost over 1.3 trillion that they can't account for. So if freedom doesn't translate into prosperity, we can't call it freedom. It's just a farce. It is just a pie in the sky that is enjoyed by the elites, couple of people, couple of businesses, whereas the majority of our people are really struggling. So I'm trying to find a possibility of celebration. But unfortunately, so long as these figures, these numbers are still there, there is no way that I can celebrate Freedom Day when the majority of our people are not celebrating.
So do these challenges overshadow everything else about this Freedom Day?
They do, and I'll tell you why, brother. You see, when we were under the apartheid rule, we understood that we're dealing with people who hate us, who are suppressing us intentionally. They just didn't want us. But then we fought the apartheid regime to bring about this dispensation. What was the purpose of all this? It was not about having a right to vote or a right to be recognized as a human being, as Minister Tedwa just said. It was about prosperity. It's about us as a people to be removed from the state of despair, the state of squalor, into a better environment. But currently we can't say that. We can say that there are a number of people who are better off. But in terms of the statistics, the majority of our people are struggling. We cannot have a situation where this country is run on a basis of loans. Currently, this country is not generating enough income for self-sustaining so that we can develop and be able to account for the poverty that we are seeing all over the country. So no, it can't be like this, and it cannot continue like this, because South Africa, if it's able to lose 1.3 trillion, you can imagine what you can do with that kind of money. You can really make a difference. Government cannot tell us that they've done something spectacular or something special. As we stand now, as I'm speaking to you, there is no way that we can clap any hands for this government.
Well, the working class, I guess, in 1994 was hopeful, and that dream, as you're saying now, sounds like it's a nightmare. What should change then for this prosperity to come to fruition, in your view, Tahir?
It was imperative that the working class must work together with liberation movement for the purposes of our liberation. But post-1994, we as trade unions were supposed to play a different role. You cannot have a situation where the biggest federation is still part of the ruling party. So they are part of this mess. The reason why we are seeing all the state-owned companies are collapsing, they've collapsed under the watch of trade unions because of political expediency. They didn't want to criticize their alliance partners. They didn't want to criticize their comrades, but thousands of workers had to lose their jobs and their livelihoods because of this marriage of convenience. And we need to start saying that we need independence as trade unions so that we can hold government accountable, especially those of us who are in the public service space.
Well,
because the African National Congress
COSATU, I spoke to the first deputy president of COSATU in the last hour, Mr. Shinganga. They still believe that the COSATU and ANC can be allies.
Well, they are allies. It's not only a belief; they are allies, and they are. That's why I'm saying.
No, what I mean is, sorry, Tahir. What I mean, they still believe that the alliance is necessary for them. They'll continue with the alliance. You are calling for independence.
Yes. Well, COSATU, they need to make a choice. They have a choice to continue on this route that is taking them right into the pit, or they become independent. And if they are not going to break this alliance with the government of the day, COSATU will go down with the same government, because of the people are seeing and are feeling the conditions that they are in. We are seeing also within the public service. Look at the kinds of agreements some of the COSATU alliance unions are signing. Because they are signing them because they are pleasing their master. The COSATU is not an independent or an equal partner within this marriage of convenience.
Yeah, I think we know that. Sorry, Chad. I think we know that. Point well made. I mean, but I was saying to you, I spoke to COSATU's first deputy president earlier. He says, no, they still believe in the allies. Obviously, you don't. So just very briefly, coming back to my question, what will this prosperity look like? What does it take, therefore, to happen now going forward that you want to see in order for this prosperity that it is so elusive for the majority of South Africans, as you say, to be achieved? What must happen now?
What needs to happen, brother, we need to start by saying that we need to have more people working. So long as we have these numbers, millions of young people and women unemployed, we are having a problem. Government is sitting with over 200,000 vacant positions in the public service. Why are they not filling those positions? Why are they so despondent in themselves and not making some strides to show that they really mean what they say? They say that they are prioritizing the youth. The only way to show that they mean what they are saying, let them fill those positions with young people who are out there unemployed, living in squalor, in despair. And this in itself is a clicking time bomb. We cannot have so many young people sitting at home and doing nothing. That is the first thing. Because the moment you have more people working, it means that more families will be able to afford the basic necessities of life. Once you have that, you are able to then deal with issues of crime. Because of crime is also a major issue in this country. Once you deal with crime, you deal with security, you are able to look at our health facilities and make sure that the poorest of the poor have access to basics in terms of the health issues. So those are the fundamentals. But so long as we're not creating jobs and we're not getting more people working, there is no way that we can see this prosperity.
So you are saying prioritize young people in filling the vacancies of government as an example, as a proof that you really want to address unemployment, create more access and have independent unions. That's what you want to see.
Absolutely. Unions, they've always played a very fundamental role in shaping the direction in which countries go. And it can only happen when we have independent unions. And COSATU can play a very vital role if they wish to. Unions like FEDUSA are trying, but they are too weak to be able to really change the discourse of this country because of their approach.
How big is your union? How big is your union, Tahir? How big is your union, the Public Service and Commercial Union?
Well, but then the PSCU has just been launched last year in December. It was launched by public servants and municipal workers who believe that the unions that are operating in those sectors are not really doing justice. So far, we're just under 5,000.
And are you busy mobilizing along the lines of independence? And are you hopeful you're going to succeed? I mean, you've got big giants like in the public sector. In terms of unions, like your NEHAUs of this world and the PSAs of this world, they're very big.
Yes, you have toothless giants. What did their size do for the workers? What did their size contribute toward the emancipation of workers? What did their size really change the direction in which this country is going? They are big but toothless. So we are bringing something completely different. Yes, we're still young, we're still new, but we have been in this field cultivating it for many years, and workers know that. And in time, but then we are going to have this discussion. You will see the size of PSU, not only in terms of numbers, but in terms of the contribution and changing that direction where this country is going.
Okay, let's move away from the unions and just talk about Freedom Day again very briefly. I was just interested to know where you stand in the bigger scheme of trade unions, if you're advocating for independent trade unions. So Freedom Day, nothing much to celebrate, but are you hopeful as a young South African who's now engaged in this new way of bringing up or forming or mobilizing for independent unions? Are you hopeful about the future?
Absolutely, because like President Nelson Mandela said, it is in our hands. We need to make the change that we want to see. So what I see this country going, and you'll see in the next coming months or a year or so, you'll see that change because of people are sick and tired of the status quo. So we as the South African citizens, the young people, the women, we need to start saying that the liberation that we have received needs to be guarded jealously. And for us to be able to do that, we need active citizens. We cannot allow this country to be lost and to be turned into a banana republic or into something that we don't desire. It is up to us, and it is incumbent on us to make sure that we implement what we want to see for the future. And yes, we are hopeful because we are going to take charge of this new struggle that we are faced with.
If it's in your hands, as you said, it's about implementation. Actions speak louder than words, Tahir. We will touch base with you over the next few months to see how you are progressing. You're making a lot of strong points as a trade union, as a new trade union in the country. Tahir Maepa, thank you very much. He's, of course, the General Secretary of the newly formed Public Service and Commercial Union of South Africa. Very strong sentiments there about the way forward for trade unions in this country and the role of the public, of government in making sure that young people are employed. I mean, he says there's several 100,000 vacancies in the public sector. So if government is serious about addressing youth unemployment, fill those vacancies with young people.